Hey everyone, welcome back. So does gear matter when it comes to classical guitar? Yeah, but probably not for the reasons that you think. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would really help support the channel. So let's cut right to the chase. Does gear matter for classical guitar? Yeah, but there's a pretty big caveat to that statement. I think we need to clarify what gear we're talking about. Are we talking about mics? Are we talking about guitars? Are we talking about strings? What gear really matters when it comes to playing guitar, recording guitar, or both? So I'm going to give you my opinion, which I know runs contrary to a lot of other people's opinion on the internet. Gear sluts. And I basically have a two-pronged philosophy when it comes to this kind of thing. The first is that I always prioritize the source over the method of capture. So by this, I mean that I always prioritize the musical performance, the actual instrument you're playing, fresh strings, over whatever microphones, interfaces, preamps, whatever other kinds of things you're going to throw into the mix. And the second part of my philosophy is that you should get whatever gear is in your budget. And that is it. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how I arrived at this philosophy. So as somebody who has a YouTube channel and just records in general and gets a lot of questions about this kind of stuff, I think about it a lot. And basically I came to the conclusion that the most important aspect is the source or the musical performance. The source is the whole reason why you do this thing in the first place. If the performance is bad, it really doesn't matter how many mics you have, what kind of converters and all kinds of crazy stuff you might find in an internet forum that they say you should buy. If the performance is bad, it is bad. And that's the thing that you should work on the most, and that's honestly the thing most people have more fun doing than anything, is just practice the guitar, get better at the guitar, have fun playing the guitar. The recording is kind of a thing that you might do, after the fact, just to capture what you've already performed or to kind of document it. So you should spend more of your money towards either lessons, educational stuff, and a better instrument than you should on mics. Because I don't know how many times, either myself personally, or I've been in a master class where the concert artist grabs the guitar of the student and it sounds so much better than what they're using it for. It's the same kind of thing. Like, a master will make your guitar sound so much better than you can make the guitar. But what often happens is that a lot of people tend to blame bad performances or bad tones or what have you on just bad mics. So usually you'll end up on a forum, ear sluts, and you'll be asking like, why does my guitar sound bad? And instead of maybe practicing the guitar or getting better at recording techniques and mic placement and all this other stuff, acoustic treatment, the first answer is to go on Sweetwater and buy whatever brand new Neumann thing they happen to have, or your converters are bad. You've got to replace your converters and your interface, and then your monitors are bad, and then you have to do all this other stuff, rather than maybe just get better at actually playing, or maybe get a different guitar. If you're playing on like a factory-made student guitar, which there is nothing wrong with that, it's just sometimes those guitars have a little bit of a limitation to them. Either tones or volumes or just things that actually limit your musical expressiveness. And that might be something you want to address more than you would mics. So really, if I had to summarize all of that, it's basically just become as good of a player as you can possibly be before you start worrying about the technical side and the recording side and all that kind of stuff. Now, as far as recording gear goes, basically just get whatever you can possibly afford. Whether that be a USB mic, or it could be an interface, it could be a Zoom recorder, it could be even a better mic for your phone or a better mic for your camera, just whatever is within your price range. Now that being said, define a price range and make sure you can get the best thing in the price range. One thing that I notice a lot of people do is they have a pretty decent price range, but they sometimes go for gear that might not serve their needs. At this day and age, you can pretty much buy anything and get a pretty good professional result out of it if you practice, you get to know the gear, and assuming your source is worth recording. Now, I'm not saying that more expensive gear doesn't sound better. In most cases, it usually does. But the thing you have to remember with gear is, and we kind of live in a golden age where even the cheap gear is much better than the expensive gear of decades past, so kind of keep that in mind. But the amount of money you're spending for gear is not really a linear scale. It's not like a steady increase, and if I spend $10, if I spend $20, it's going to be better. If I spend $30, it's going to be just that much better than the $20 one. Or in hundreds, like maybe the $100 interface versus the $2,000 crazy thing. It's kind of more of a logarithmic scale where it kind of steadily, you get good bang for your buck until you get about here, and then you have to like triple your money to get like 2% better. And that's kind of where I think a lot of people get stuck with classical guitar recording and recording in general, honestly, is they try to get the recordings better and better, and they get to a point where it's just they don't have anything else to spend their money on. So they just go crazy with like, oh, I have to find the best converters and stuff like that. Now, one big caveat here, if you are a professional recording engineer and you make your living doing this, then yeah, it's probably worth it to invest that money to get just that much better of an end result. However, for like 99.999% of people that aren't Norbert Kraft, you probably should just get the, kind of a decent budget setup that sounds really good, and then get better at the technical side of like learning how to mic it, acoustically treat your space, find a better space to record in, play guitar better, get a better guitar, change your strings, just change your strings. And all of these things will affect your guitar recordings much more than going out and buying whatever brand new interface and preamps and all kinds of crazy stuff. Because there's a laundry list of really good classical guitar albums that are recorded with either cheap mics or borrowed mics and like a bass level Scarlett interface. And they sound really, really good because the person playing the guitar is really, really good. And they have an artistic statement to say, and that's what makes it worth listening, not so much the technical side of things. So I know this is a really long kind of video, probably rambled on a little bit too much in bits, but it's kind of just the stuff I think about as far as like where to spend your money, and when I give people advice, this is the kind of stuff that goes through my head. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you want me to cover in future videos, go ahead and let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video.